Hey, what you're about to see is a Sylvie's technique vlog where I kind of break apart pieces of the techniques that I've learned from the legends that I work with in the Muay Thai library. In this session, I'm working on two very specific elements of the knee that Dieselnoi, the king of knees, taught me in a 1-hour session I did with him for the library. If you want to see the entire lesson with Dieselnoi, you can see that in the patron link at the bottom of this description. And these two small details came about throughout the 1-hour session, and in the technique vlog I'm talking about the huge differences they make by adding them to the way that I've been throwing knees, and just kind of thinking about techniques and playing with them. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hi, welcome to Sylvie's technique vlog. In this section I'm going to be talking about a Dieselnoi knee. So there are lots of different ways to knee, and none of them are wrong or right, but everything has a reason for it. And I'm good at kneeing. I knee a lot. But anytime you learn a technique or an element or something and the reason behind it, it just refines that knee as an option, and when you use it and how you use it and what the payoffs of it are. So I trained with Dieselnoi recently, and he made this big point about where to hit on my knee in my knees. I've never been told this before by anybody. So he lifted my leg up and he pointed to here, and he made a big deal about hitting here on your knee. So this is the bottom of my knee. I've never been told this. Many times I've been told to hit with the kneecap because that's the hard part. That's the part that you can drive in because it's bone and it's painful. It's the same thing of being told to hit with the bone of the elbow, right? So I was trying it, and I was trying to get that part of my knee, and he gave me secondary instruction that, again, was not something anyone had ever told me before, but all of a sudden it just like clicked like a lock into place with all these other things that I understand about knees and how this makes sense. So he told me many times, because it was a big point, my yoke. Yoke is to lift or raise something, to like lift up. So my yoke means don't lift your knee. So super beginners, you'll see them trying to knee like this, and they're just lifting their legs, and you're like, don't march knee, because when you march knee, there's no power in it. It's just kind of coming like this. It's the same idea, even on a knee that looks good, like a knee that looks like it's coming the way a knee should. You still lift a little bit. I was still lifting a little bit, and it's the same problem where lifting takes power out of it. It like dispels the power. So the way that you solve that is by doing this kind of like pendulous swing with your knee that's driven by your standing leg and your hip. So if you're not going to lift your leg, it's going to be, if you picture like the Indiana Jones blade that like kind of comes like this, that's why I call it a pendulum, is that you don't lift your leg at all, which means this and your hip have to drive as it comes forward. I'm still working on this. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do this. So as I'm doing it, there are times that I'm still kind of lifting. But if you want to hit from far here and you have all this distance, you come with your everything coming under, and I'm still hitting here. I have to still think of how to come up to actually make contact with the bottom of my knee. I have to keep practicing it. There it goes, to feel that. There are several reasons. You want to keep your chin down. If you keep your head up and you try to go like this, it's no good. So keep your chin down and try to find your contact and like the angles and all these different things. You keep playing with it. But one of the very important parts of why you would knee like this, one, it's very hard to see. If you lift before going, it's like winding up before punching. Like you can see that and you can interrupt it because there's this element before the knee is actually coming. So it makes it faster, but why Dieselnoi cares is that it makes it much harder. It is a super strong knee. If you picture like having a billiard cue stick and you're kind of like bopping things with it, that's not super hard. But if you take it straight back and pop, all the power is just going straight forward. It's not going anywhere else. That's what this kind of knee does. Dieselnoi made me laugh so hard. He was complaining about modern knee fighters and how they throw these knees that just don't really hurt. Pinu was complaining about this recently with one of our fighters who throws lots of knees in his fights, but they don't hurt. He says, "Khao mai jet," like he knees, but it doesn't hurt. You're trying to hurt someone and you're trying to drain their gas tank. Dieselnoi makes this sound that's his like sound effect for what modern knees that don't have any pain and power on them sound like. And if I could describe it, it's like if you were stirring oatmeal. It's that kind of like sound. He like kind of wiggles, like there's no direction to them. But then he shows like how he wants the knee to go, and you can tell the difference of how when you got hit by one of his knees, those guys he fought, the fact that they were still standing just shows how hard the men in the golden age of Muay Thai were. Everything was meant to hurt a lot. So, when I trained with Sagat, he was teaching me how to keep my arm in close on punches. So I just kind of pull everything. Lots of people do this. You kind of like pull your arm out a little bit, and it just takes power out of where the power is supposed to come from, which is your body. And so the way I taught myself how to not do that was by going against a wall so that my arm literally can't go out. You have to find the same hacks or tricks for the pendulum of the knee. One thing that helps me a lot is that when you're tucking, he wants me to collapse my leg like crazy. Like it's like you're holding your leg like this when you're kneeing. By collapsing the leg like this, you cannot lift it. Like you're actually making these muscles a little bit inert, so you can't pull it up. So by collapsing it like this and popping it forward, again like the pool cue and like this pendulum coming like this, having it collapsed so that you're not lifting it, even if you have to hold something while you're doing it, to get this like bong, and you can do it in like the corner of the ring or something like this. First work on the pendulum and then figure out how to land on the spot on your knee.
How do you land on the spot, on that spot of your knee with your leg flexed back?
So with your leg like this and you're coming up, your shin is actually going to be a little bit vertical.
So it relaxes out.
As it comes, it goes bong to the end, because you don't want to be keeping it so tight at the end of it. It's the same thing as if you like didn't let your arm go, it would be stuck. So you want to have the like pop on the end. So at the very end of the knee, there's a like, I just jabbed it, that's not the way it's supposed to go. But as you come up, there's a moment where it doesn't quite unfold, but it kind of like,
so it kind of has a vertical shin on impact sometimes?
Yeah.
So they did give you a vertical shin instruction years ago.
Yeah. If you keep it totally tucked all the time, you end up doing this stabbing thing like this, which is another knee, but it's not this knee. So the kind of like coming up and kind of softly breaking open at the end. Hey, so what you just saw was the technique vlog of me thinking about these two elements of the knee that were taught to me by Dieselnoi in the 1 hour session I did with him for the Preserve the Legacy project on the Muay Thai library. You can see the link to that in the description below. There's over 50 hours of video from different legends and the top crews of Thailand teaching techniques like this in long form videos, so you can get tons of different technique and see the men themselves and how it works into their styles and expresses their personalities, which is my favorite thing about it. This is a very special session with Dieselnoi that this technique came from. There's very little footage of Dieselnoi as a fighter, and there's very little footage of Dieselnoi as he is now. And he's just an absolutely incredible man. And when you see these small details like this and the way he teaches it and his personality and how excited he gets about these small things, you really want to try it yourself. So link to that is in the description below, and I hope you guys like it.